On the news, Supreme Court affirms Fintiri's election as Adamawa State Governor. Ekiti school children abductors demand 100 million naira ransom. And CBN moves to stop forex speculation, issues guidelines. It's a pleasure to have you join us on News Now. I'm Simisola Atigun. After a drama-filled course of events in Adamawa State, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and its candidates in the March 18, 2023 governorship election, Aisha Dahiru Binani, have failed in their bid to unseat Governor Ahmadu Fintiri at the Supreme Court. In a unanimous verdict, a 5-member panel of justices dismissed the appeal filed by Binani as lacking in merit. The Apex Court panel, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, held that the action of the suspended resident electoral commissioner REC in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, who declared Senator Dahiru as the winner of the poll, was an act of irresponsibility and criminality. Justice Okoro says Dahiru engaged in self-deceit by hanging to the unlawful and unconstitutional act of the REC to hold herself out as winner of the governorship election. The Apex Court emphatically held that the REC had no power under any known law to declare election results, as he did in the Adamawa governorship election. Well, let's discuss the Supreme Court's verdict further. Legal expert Evans Ufeli joins me on the news. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, could this judgment have been any different from what has been declared by the Supreme Court, in your opinion?
Well, every case is distinct. I mean, the facts of the cases that the Supreme Court have dealt with over this time on election petition are quite different. Remember, there are cases coming from tribunal to Court of Appeal, and from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. So you couldn't have said that it's been different or the same. The fact is that in some of these cases, parties are contending irregularities in the election. In some of the cases, parties are contending qualification and issue of disqualification. Substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act, how substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act affected the outcome and all that. In this particular case, there was a dispute as to the declaration of the winner, where Ari had unconstitutionally declared Binani the winner of that election, and we saw the outcome of what that cost, because like the Supreme Court said, that he has no power under the law to make such declaration. He acted in self-deceit. And that is, the Supreme Court went further to say that it was an act of irresponsibility and criminality. Okay, it's unfortunate that he has not been properly dealt with, so that society will see what the consequence of this could be. Okay, these cases are distinct, and that is why if you look at the verdict of the Supreme Court, it has been from one issue to the other. In the case under reference, I mean, the governor, the current governor, won at the tribunal, one at the Court of Appeal, and one at the Supreme Court. But if you look at Kano, you discover that the tribunal didn't give the current governor the victory at the tribunal, one at the Court of Appeal, but the Supreme Court restored it. So in Plateau, you have that mismatch and all that. So all the cases couldn't have had the same outcome, because no two cases are the same, and they were practically on different issues, not the same issues, even though they are all election matters.
Now, it appears the outcome of elections are now decided in court and not at the polls in Nigeria. What can be done to change this narrative?
Yes, because the electoral system has not been worked on. As long as you don't have a clean electoral system, that we guarantee that if a party loses election, he will see from the outcome, from the process, that he lost the election on the basis of the fact that he didn't get the highest number of valid vote cast. Okay, so but where our election system is struggled with this kind of irregularities here and there, ballot box snatching, conflict, violence during election, and all that. Once you have disputes and conflict as part of the build-up to an election, there is no way the result thereof will not lead to a tribunal or court for the court to make it. So the way out is that we must reform our electoral system and develop a hybrid electoral system. Perhaps we could be looking at, voting online or having electronic voting or something like that. That we clean the system of, all these debts. It is when you have an electoral system that is a near perfect one, that is when you can have a reduction in the court intervention and the outcome of it. But as long as your electoral system is not okay, and there's a lot of irregularities, there is no way I am going to lose at the polls. And looking at the irregularities that have played out throughout the election, I will not go to court to contest the victory, you understand, of the adverse party. So I will do that. That is what every politician will do until we come to a point where we now have an electoral system that is suit and proper for this population, for this country.
Our legal expert, Evans Ofeli, many thanks for your contribution. Moving on, Minister of Works David Umahi, alongside the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, have inspected the ongoing rehabilitation of the third mainland bridge in Lagos. During the inspection on Wednesday, Umahi gave good attention to the ongoing relaying of asphalt pavement of the bridge, which commenced at the Oworonshoki end of the 11.8-kilometer bridge. On the installation of the solar-based street lights and the CCTV cameras on the third mainland, Umahi described solar lights as very useful and strategic for road users. In the inspection team of the two ministers were other senior government officials and the contractors handling the project.
On the third mainland bridge, Kata Bridge, and is it Ido Bridge? Ido Bridge. We have inspected Kata Bridge and we've inspected third mainland bridge. Now, let's start with the third mainland bridge. We have critical elements of the bridge structure that we are restoring. One is the deck. The deck over years, it's been decorated on top with a varying thickness of asphalt, which provided undesirable super elevation and a lot of potholes ranging from 1 foot thickness to 6 inches thickness, whereas the bridge was designed to carry only 2 inches of asphalt overlay. Now, Mr. President has graciously approved that the comprehensive work, 11 kilometers by 2 carriageways, and of course, each carriageway consists of about 4 lanes. So we're doing that, and then we're going to change all the light to solar. We are going to put a CCTV both under the bridge and on top of the bridge. We are remarking the finished work, and of course, we are also painting the curbs. So it's going to be a classic, beautiful reinstated bridge when we finish. But we assure them that before the end of April, they will start using their bridges again.
What we have done is we have come to reaffirm that our priorities in terms of spending are not misplaced. And looking at Third Mainland Bridge, looking at the critical repairs that need to be done, whatever we do to mobilize the funds will not be misplaced.
The kidnappers of 5 pupils of Apostolic Faith Group of Schools in Murekiti and 4 staff members have demanded 100 million naira ransom for the release of the 9 victims who were taken away on Monday. The principal of the secondary section of the school, Boje Olanireti, confirmed the ransom demand in an interview with journalists on Tuesday. Their kidnapping came barely hours after 2 monarchs, the Onimojo of Imojo in Oye local government area, were killed by gunmen. The abduction epidemic has continued to defy the efforts of the security agencies as cases of kidnappings are now being recorded in various parts of the country daily. Transparency International and its Nigerian chapter, the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, have offered some reasons for Nigeria's marginal improvement in the number of points scored and position in the 2023 Corruption Perception Index released by Transparency International on Tuesday. Nigeria now ranks 145 out of 180 countries assessed after scoring 25 out of 100 points compared to 24 points in the 2022 CPI results. However, the new score is far below the sub-Saharan Africa's average of 33 points. Our correspondent Emeka Mako files in this report from Abuja.
The Corruption Perception Index (CPI), which generally defines corruption as an abuse of entrusted power for private gain, aims to rank countries by their perceived levels of public sector corruption as determined by expert assessment and opinion surveys. The 2023 Corruption Perception Index is the first of its kind under the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The index shows that Nigeria ranks 145 out of 180 countries compared to 150 on the 2022 CPI results, representing a rise of 5 places above its previous rankings in the 2022 CPI.
The Corruption Perception Index is highly consequential as government, business entity, civil society organization, and other direct their decision based on this assessment. It is important to highlight that this is the first corruption perception index under this administration. Therefore, it will be used as a benchmark for subsequent years.
Over the years, Nigeria's anti-corruption agencies have been frontal in their approaches to stem corrupt tendencies, following arrest of high-profile individuals and recovery of proceeds. However, reported political interferences highlight, amongst others, the key weaknesses Nigeria needs to improve upon.
They risk their life because if they do all this and then the corrupt people even sometimes get jailed, executive order to pardon them, it means that you are putting the operators, the EFCC, ICPC, and the rest of the anti-corruption agencies personnel at risk.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation has been subject of numerous scandals since it was established a few years ago by the last government. There are other ministers, past and present, who have allegations of corruption against them, and we call on relevant agencies, and particularly the political will, to ensure a comprehensive investigation is carried out.
Nigeria may have made a remarkable stride in the 2023 CPI, but it doesn't deflect from the fact that the country still has a lot of work to do at the national and regional levels, as the country's score was below the sub-Saharan African average of 33 points.
A lot of government agencies don't put out information without people crying for this information. And when we also leverage on the Freedom of Information Act and rights to these agencies, you get a lot of responses sometimes about why you're requesting for such information, when on a normal day this information should actually be put out there without you coercing the agencies to put out the information.
While the launch of this register does not solve the challenge of procurement fraud in public contracting through the use of corporate vehicles and companies by politicians, the speakers believe it was a step in the right direction.
After months of agitation from organized labor, who expressed concerns over the federal government's failure to inaugurate the new National Minimum Wage Committee as promised during the negotiations last October, Vice President Kashim Shettima has inaugurated a 37-member panel tripartite committee at the council chamber of the State House in Abuja. Speaking at the event on Tuesday, Shettima says the decision to set up the committee is in recognition of the need to ensure a decent living wage in compliance with the existing National Minimum Wage Act of 2019, which will expire in a few months from now. TV360's correspondent Chidi Igwe has more in this next report.
The membership of the newly inaugurated 37-man tripartite committee cuts across federal and state governments, the private sector, and organized labor. The panel is to recommend a new national minimum wage for the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima says the federal government was ready to implement a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers, but insisted on productivity for its sustainability.
Once again, we gather here today to reinforce our earnest desire to foster a motivated workforce. Once again, we are here to reaffirm our promise to improve the welfare of the Nigerian workers and by extension the entire nation. The labor force stands as a cornerstone of the progress of every nation, and ours has been the enduring engine of our pursuit of development. I therefore welcome the nominees of the Tripartite National Minimum Wage Committee, comprising of the government, employers, and labor unions, who have been carefully selected for the crucial task of renegotiating a new minimum wage for workers in our beloved nation.
Laying more emphasis on the decision to set up the committee, the federal government revealed that the need to ensure a decent living wage for Nigerian workers prompted the decision to set up the committee.
This committee carries the hopes and aspirations of millions of Nigerian workers, and its work will be instrumental in shaping the economic landscape of our nation. The past year, the life of our nation has been marked by significant economic challenges. The removal of fuel subsidy, while a necessary step towards long-term fiscal sustainability, has undoubtedly imposed temporary hardships on many. In recognition of these challenges, the government made a commitment to cushion the effects on workers through a wage award being implemented currently.
The chairman of the committee expresses gratitude for being charged with the responsibility and promises to deliver accordingly.
Your Excellency, may I first start by saying thank you to Mr. President, through you, for finding us fit to undertake this assignment and for the confidence reposed in us. I want to assure Your Excellency that with the kind of personalities you assembled today to handle this assignment, I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to do justice to this exercise.
With the tripartite committee set up, the federal government aims at shaping the economic landscape of the country and welfare of Nigerian workers. Chidi Igwe, TV360 News.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Super Eagles striker passes CAF's dub test at ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. We'll give you details when we return. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. After a drama-filled course of events in Adamawa State, the All Progressives Congress (APC) and its candidate in the March 18, 2023 governorship election, Aisha Dahiru Binani, has failed in their bid to unseat Governor Amadu Fintiri at the Supreme Court. In a unanimous decision, a 5-member panel dismissed as lacking in merit the appeal filed by Binani to challenge the outcome of the election. Delivering judgment in the matter, the Apex Court panel, led by Justice Enyang Okoro, held that the action of the suspended resident electoral commissioner REC in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, who declared Senator Dahiru as the winner of the poll, was an act of irresponsibility and criminality. We also told you that the kidnappers of 5 pupils of Apostolic Faith Group of Schools, Emory Ekiti, and 4 staff members have demanded 100 million naira ransom for the release of the 9 victims who were taken away on Monday. The principal of the secondary section of the school, Boje Olanireti, confirmed the ransom demand in an interview with journalists on Tuesday. The kidnap comes barely hours after 2 monarchs were killed by gunmen. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store on Facebook. We're at TV360 online. Well, it's time for business news. Okwemi Owoshini joins us. Over to you, Okwemi.
Thank you, Simisola. Hello and welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has released a new circular addressing suspected cases of excessive foreign currency speculations, while highlighting its concerns over the growing trend of Nigerian banks holding large foreign currency positions. The new circular introduces a set of guidelines aimed at reducing the risks associated with these practices. According to the circular released on Monday, banks whose current net open position NOP exceed 20% short and 0% long of their shareholders' funds unimpaired by losses are required to bring them to the prudential limit by February 1, 2024. We'll go on a short break and be back with Stock Market Report. Nigeria's equities market furthered its loss path on Wednesday, reducing by 1.9%. As investors sold mostly shares of Lafarge Africa and Zenith Bank, the market breadth also ended on a negative note with 11 gainers against 57 losers. Now, Lafarge WAPCO came out last with an end-of-day depreciation of 10%, followed closely by Zenith Bank. WAPCO closed at 36 naira 00 kobo, and Zenith Bank closed at 35 naira 10 kobo. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX, a total of 749 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 14,288 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 22 billion were traded. Now, let's take a look at our select global stock. Reverses the case for our select global stock as the US Dow Jones and Japan's Nikkei recorded bullish gains at 0.15% and 0.61%, leaving just the UK FTSE in the bears at 0.079%. That's it on both business and stock market reports. Back to you, Simisala, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Okwemi. On the foreign scene, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi have been sentenced to 40 years in jail in a case related to the illegal sale of state gifts. An accountability court in Rawalpindi, which deals with corruption cases on Wednesday, also ruled that the couple will be ineligible to contest for public office for 10 years, while also slapping a fine of 787 million rupees, an equivalent of $2.8 million on each of them. The judge also banned them from holding political office for 10 years. The sentencing comes a day after Khan was given a 10-year prison term for revealing state secrets. On entertainment, late actor Dejimo Lewis, who was a prolific figure in Nigerian film and television, was notably recognized for his iconic role as Kabiesi in The Village Headmaster, Nigeria's longest-running television soap opera that aired on NTA from 1968 to 1988. His stellar performances alongside Justus Esiri, Femi Robinson, and other talented actors made him a household name. His demise marks a significant loss in the Nigerian film industry, with tributes poured in to honor the legacy and impactful career of the late veteran actor. Speaking at the night of tribute, a musical concert held in honor of the late actor at the Freedom Park in Lagos on Tuesday, family, friends and colleagues say the late actor has left an indelible mark in the film industry.
Mr. Adejimo Luis was a living legend, and he touched so many lives during his time as an artist, an entertainer in this Nigerian film industry. Mr. Adejimo Luis brought so much joy and laughter to different homes, different individuals, and so many people in the society. at that time when Village Headmaster was hearing. Aside of his performance both on stage and on screen, the late Adejumo Luz was a philanthropist. He touched so many lives. He was a mentor to so many. He advocated for the voiceless.
The late icon, Papa Adejumo Lewis, happened to be somebody who made his mark on the sands of time in the Nigerian movie industry, especially around the 80s till the early part of the 90s. It was very prominent. As a matter of fact, if you would say the #1 figure in the most popular TV series in those days, known as the Village Headmaster.
In those days, it's a social commentary. Village Headmaster typifying the nation about what goes on, the vices in the community, things that must be noted. So, Village Headmaster those days was a satire, kind of, giving the commentary about what happens in the country.
Finally, on sports, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has been cleared alongside teammates William Troost Ekong and Moses Simon following multiple dope tests by the Confederation of African Football (CAF) at the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. The Napoli striker scored the Eagles' opening goal at the tournament in the 1-1 stalemate versus Equatorial Guinea and was fouled for the penalty that gave Nigeria a 1-0 win over Ivory Coast. He then put up an amazing fighting performance against Cameroon as they won 2-0 in a last 16 clash on Sunday. In Nigeria's 4 games so far at the AFCON tournament, Osimhen has played over 90 minutes in 3 games, while his lowest time on the pitch was 88 minutes in the game against Ivory Coast. His tireless display has attracted the attention of CAF, leading to his being picked for a random test. That's our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. See you again next time.